we do it, boys. But we just came up on another pre-bug. We're seeing double here. We got another blue boy up in the garage now. That makes 6 pre-bugs in the garage. Same Zuma as this one. Front disc brake, which is a super come up. That's the hardest for me to find here. I got 3 drum ones. Well, this one I converted, but I always end up with finding the drum ones. It's rare to find the disc one for some reason where I live. It's so hard to find the pre-bugs that I have not found any of these pre-bugs myself. Like, everybody asks, where do I find these? On Marketplace or etc, etc. Literally, they've all found me. This pre-bug, this one, and this one all came from the same owner. When I first bought the GP1, he hit me up and was like, yo, I got a pre-bug. And I went over there, I bought it, and he had 3 more there. And I bought the other 2 then like the following day, and then he took forever. And I finally convinced him to sell me this one. And then of course this one was actually a homie that bought parts from me before. Met him from the videos as well. And he actually lived about 3 hours from where I live. And he just hit me up and was like, yo, I'm done building this thing. If you want to buy it, I'm over it. And I was like, yeah, I'm down. So I drove up there. But this one was a really good find because just today, like 4 hours ago, I literally got this comment on my YouTube that just said that they lived in Vegas and they had a pre-bug. And I was just like instantly like, yo, can I get it today? Because I knew I'm not finding another pre-bug anywhere around here locally. I never ever have seen one pop up on Marketplace, only Bug Eyes. It's crazy that these have all, literally have all found me in their own way. All the pre-bugs, all the elites and stuff, I bought myself. It's always just the pre-bugs that find me. So if that's not a sign, I don't know what is, boys. I literally already have all the parts I need for this thing in the shopping cart ready to check out because we're going full build on this thing. But this one I don't think I'm gonna end up keeping. I have a homie here in Vegas that has been dying to get a pre-bug. We almost drove 6 hours last week to grab one. 6 hours there, 6 hours back to grab one for him that we found. It's not running currently, but it feels good kicking it over. Everything feels fine, and it doesn't matter at all because we're going full build on it anyway, so I really don't even care if it runs. I'm not even gonna try to get it running stock. I'm pretty sure this one's not gonna last too long in the family, but we will be 100% building this on the channel. So it's gonna pretty much mock this build because the homie that's getting it wants a solid build for it. And we're gonna show you more of that here in a second, but we actually gotta grab another scooter right now. Alright, not only did we pick up the Zuma yesterday, but we actually picked up 2 scooters yesterday, boys. We got another elite. Now this one came from a homie who's been watching the videos probably like 5 or 6 years, because like 5 years ago he commented on one of my videos. He was local. He needed help welding one thing on his scooter. Told him to pull up, and I helped weld him an exhaust on his GY6 swap. He randomly messaged me like a week ago and was like, yo, I have an elite in storage that's sat for a couple of years, and he gave me a stupid deal on this thing, a couple $100, and we got this whole elite here. The only thing is I thought it was an AF16. It turns out to be another AF05 engine. So my plans with this thing kind of went out the window because I actually had plans to take the AF16 out of it, throw the AF16 in my stroker bike, and get rid of the stroker engine because I wanted another 70cc Honda Elite that I would just use as a wheelie bike. Since this one's so cherry, I'm always just, you know, scared of messing this thing up. I think this thing is just going to turn into a full part out. But first things first, we're going to clean it up because this thing's sitting a long time, so it's really dusty. But it has the really rare innards, the teal innards. It also has the rare front wheel, which I've never seen from Honda Elites. You know, the typical wheel is a 3-spoke wheel like this. Has a really cool Honda basket on it. It's kind of crunched, but it's definitely fixable. But tacked headset, teal innards, all very, very rare, you know. Just JDM stuff. Well, it looks like someone like hand-writ the mile/hour on there too. It's funny. But can't open the seat because the seat's locked. But first things we're going to do is just power wash this thing off. I'm going to go ahead and pull them both out right now. We're going to power wash them because this thing's got spider webs for days chilling on it. There's probably spiders all in my garage from this thing, and they need to be cleaned up. Here was the previous blue Zuma, all in boxes right now. We're heating up this half of the case so we could pop the bearing in, and we got that half already over here, and the bearing's already in it. Kept the bearings in the freezer, heat up the case with the torch, and then they slid right in. So now we're doing this side.
Running out.
Got some tinfoil on the back end, keep it hot in there. This is like the best way to do it, especially without having an actual crank puller tool. Alright, so as you saw, within like that one day of that blue Zuma, we had the thing stripped all the way down to frame and just cases. Then we popped all the bearings out of the case, popped the old crank out, and went straight into the build. Like I talked about, we're going straight into it. Well, this is where we sit right now. I didn't get to film a lot of it because we were doing a lot of hands-on stuff with popping in the bearings, popping in the crank. That's always the times I lack on filming stuff, is when we're doing things like that and you're really deep into it. You got your hands covered in sealant or grease or whatever, and you're really just going in on it. Went and actually did a different approach, which was my first time using dry ice for the bearings and the crank, and man, it saved so much stress and time of having to force anything into the cases or anything like that. Literally just took the crank. I had the bearings in the freezer, heated up the cases, bearing plopped right in. Took the crank, went to the store, grabbed dry ice, and just like set the crank on the dry ice, actually in a bag, and like wrapped it with rubber band so it was tight. And the crank literally just fell right into the bearings. Then we slapped the other side together, put sealant, slapped it in, the dwell pins, you know, the whole deal. We centered the crank, and it's a very happy free spinning crank. We got the bearings and the seals all in there. This whole bottom end of the motor is ready. I'm trying to get my homie to hurry up and buy the rest of the build so we can throw it all together. Went ahead and put a stage 6 full circle crank in it, and we got Polini bearings and seal kit. So that's where that sits right now. That's pretty much all we have for it, was the bottom end that he purchased. So like I said, we have the cylinder, we have all the CVT stuff on the way, but this will be a quick flip and build on the channel. It'll probably be only one more video and we'll complete the whole scooter back to full build. As for the Elite, like I mentioned, someone already bought that whole scooter as is, so that scooter is pretty much gone. But we did go through and we cleaned it up a little bit. Didn't bother trying to get it running because the homie that's buying it's going to do a bunch of work to it. So just cleaned her up a little bit. Got the blue looking a lot better. It pops a little bit more, and a lot of the parts are just sitting on there right now just so I don't lose them. Like, none of this is kind of hooked up. It's all just sitting on there. But that's the Elite. It looks like it was originally like a blue. I never seen blue panels, so maybe it was a purple and they just sanded them down so they look a little blue like that. But it has the stock Kimco JDM tail on it. Yeah, everything looks pretty good on this, and this will probably be the last time you're going to be seeing this scooter on the channel as well. You'll see the Zuma a little bit more on the channel, but that one's not going to be mine, so that one's going to be gone as well. But we have one more scooter to work on and sell in this video. We're selling all the scooters, man. So with that being said, let's jump into the spree build. Alright, maybe you do, maybe you don't remember, but when I picked up that horde of Honda Elite scooters from that storage unit, I went back like 2 days later and this guy gave me this spree along with the rest of the scooters. So he hit me up later on, was like, hey, I also have a spree. And that's pretty much where this thing sat. It sat on the back porch for about 6 months now, back here in the stockpile of scooters. And it sat in his storage unit for 7 years. So who knows how long it sat before that, but we're gonna see if we can't get this thing running. So first things first, what I'm gonna do is pull off some of these panels and we're gonna power wash this thing, because I can already tell it's nasty inside of there. I've never rode a spree, I've never had a spree, and this is an AF05 non-variated, so it's like a single speed motor pretty much. It doesn't have like an actual variator adjustable that we can mess with or anything like that. It's like the really junk AF05. So who knows what we're gonna end up doing with this thing, boys. Alright, we stripped her down a bit and we're letting her soak in some degreaser. And then it's time to spray this thing off. It's not too bad, but she's seen better days. Nothing we haven't seen before. Alright, spree is cleaning up pretty nice. We pulled the gas tank off because I drained all the old gas out of it. And obviously you can tell that we pulled the carb and the air box off. Got the carb all apart here. We're just going to do a good cleanup job on everything. We're not going to be changing anything other than keeping it stock. Kind of sketched out by this, seeing that the auto choke had been modified and it looks pretty junk. So I'm assuming that the auto choke's probably not going to work, which may be an issue. Alright, just put new fuel lines on her. Sucked the petcock through to make sure we're getting fuel, and we are. Checked spark, we're getting spark. So I don't see one single reason why this thing's not going to fire up right now. So let's see, boys. Wow. No airbox on right now, I just want to make sure, but choking it by hand, it fires up, so that's a good sign. That's a good sign. We're going to throw the airbox on now. Bro, after sitting this long, this thing is just chilling running, man. Got a little horn. Blinkers work. High beam. Damn, dude. Kill switch. Kill switch works. Bro, this thing is dialed. Well, we got the spree running good. I have 2 flat tires, so I need to figure out something about that. Maybe just run some slime, pump them up so I can at least try this thing. I don't plan on keeping it. We already sold 3 bikes this week. It feels like I'm getting rid of all my bikes, but spree as well. I was sitting here working on the spree and I noticed that the ground was getting wet over here. And I look over and my damn water heater just went out, bro. This thing started pouring out hot water out the bottom here. And it was a pain because I couldn't get this rusted out valve to shut off the water. Finally did, using some PB blaster, and had to make it work. Shut off the water heater. But damn it, bro. God damn it. Never fails, bro. But with that happening right now, that just completely took over right now for the rest of today. So we'll get back to the spree here in just a moment. Alright, so in the middle of working on the spree, my water heater went out. We went the next day. Luckily, even on Memorial Day, Home Depot was open. Grabbed myself a REM Performance water heater. The same thing, I was gonna go tankless, put it on the wall so I can get more room here, but it just did not seem like it was worth it given that I'm not gonna be in this house forever. So I didn't want to spend the money on that and do all that work when I could just swap one of these in myself, save myself like $2,000. And yeah, threw in a water heater, it was like 600 bucks. Slapped her in there, was able to use all the same connectors because I made sure that this water heater had the hot and the cold on top and the release valve on top rather than on the side, so I didn't have to change anything connector wise. Rewired it back into the 240 volts and she's good to go. Water is hot. But now we're back to work on the spree. Spree sat a few days and still starts right up. Sadly, I can't go test ride it because the tires will not hold any air, and I don't really have any rims to swap on for the AFL5 style engine. So that's out of the picture. So I still have never rode a spree, but we're gonna throw the plastics back on this, clean it up a bunch because the plastics are really, really dirty. Slap it all together, and then I have someone to come pick this up tomorrow. Spree's looking super nice now, all cleaned up. Got the plastics shining on her, and it's basically ready to be sold. So in this video, we got 3 new scooters. We got the blue Zuma, we got the Honda Elite, and the spree, which we kind of been had, but we have not touched the spree one time, so I'm considering that a new scooter, especially to the channel. And we sold the blue Zuma the same day we got it. My homie Josny grabbed that from me because he's been wanting to build a Zuma, so I pretty much just gave it to him exactly what I bought it for, even though I should have upcharged him a little bit because I got it for a pretty good deal. And then we had the Honda Elite. Didn't even bother to get it running because I literally put it up to part it out just the way it was. Put it up on Instagram and Facebook, and like within 10 minutes I had like 40 messages of people trying to buy like the teal parts and like the front wheel and everything like that. Then someone hit me up basically just trying to buy the whole thing flat out. So they live up in Seattle, which we'll be driving up there in about a month or 2 now, and I'm gonna bring that up there for them. So they already made a deposit on that, so that one's sold, and the spree will be picked up here tomorrow. So within this video, spree is sold too. So we got 3 new bikes in this video, and we sold 3 bikes in this video, but that's just the way it is sometimes. You can't keep them all, you can't build them all. So I didn't really have any plans I wanted to do with the spree. I'm not a super big fan of the spree, honestly. It's just a little bit too tiny for my liking. Dude, my hands are on like my knees when I'm riding it. I feel like so tiny on this little thing. So I thought about maybe just throwing an AF16 in it because it kind of would be a little fun. But then I just, with the prices of AF16s right now and just like how much I would have to do to this thing to get it to my liking, it just wasn't worth it. I'd put like maybe 2,000 into that, maybe a little bit more on fully building up the AF16, and I just didn't like the spree enough, so I wasn't sold on that build. So spree's got to go. And the Zuma, you know I would have built the Zuma, but I'd rather have one of the homies here local have a Zuma so I can have someone else to ride with. So he bought that, and we're going to be building that. I'm not probably going to document it too much because it's going to be the same exact build that we already did, Pliny Corsa, except we're doing stage 6 crank, but same intake, same carb, same bore, naked bars. He's probably going to do the same gauges, probably going to do the same. It's going to look exactly like my pre-bug, so, you know, Josie's copying me. You know, I can't blame him. That's one of the best looking pre-bugs I've ever seen, so cannot blame him. Alright boys, that's gonna do it for this video. A few bikes in, a few bikes out, but that's how we do it. You know, some of these bikes I guess had to be sold to now pay for the water heater, so that's just the way it works. But until next time, might be picking up a few more bikes in the next video, so stay tuned for that. I'll see you guys in the next one.